We have been slow traveling for 6 months. Will we continue? Stick around and find out.
I'm Laurie.
And I'm Greg.
And together we are Lolly and Pops. We're a retired couple that have set out on an adventure to explore the world, and we want to share that with you. Currently, we are home in Gulf Shores, Alabama, where we're taking time to enjoy the beach, the sunsets, and to even have coffee on the balcony with some of our new friends. Our journey began in September of 2025, and it's taken us through Spain to beautiful places that we've never seen before. We visited Italy, where we experienced new places and new opportunities. There were places that were new to us, and we revisited some places that we've been before and saw them from a new perspective. And although we have visited Mexico several times before, we were able to see it through new eyes. We tried new things, and new foods, and we met new friends along the way. And these new friends, each in their own way, have left a lasting impression upon us. We caught up with old friends along the way, and we met new forever friends. And those friends that are experiencing the same lifestyle of travel that we do. Be sure to stay till the end, where we share all things about our 6 months of travel. We've been retired slow traveling for the last 6 months, and we want to share our thoughts with you. If you're new to us, thanks for joining, and if you're returning, thanks for coming back to watch our video. So we've been traveling for 6 months now, and where have we been? Our journey started in Port Canaveral, Florida, and we took a transatlantic cruise with 4 stops in Spain. We ended in Barcelona, and then we took a flight to Turin, Italy, where we stayed for a month. From there, we took a train to Florence, Italy, and stayed for another month before we returned to the United States for the holidays. We then took a flight to Mexico, to Chillán, Mexico, and we spent New Year's Eve there and celebrated with the Mexicans loudly. From there, we went to San Miguel de Allende and Oaxaca. All right, so those are the places that we've been. All right, so what did you think about each place? Italy.
Well, they each had their own personality. Turin, Italy was a little more uppity, maybe. I don't know if that's a good word or not. Food was good. Everything was good. And then Florence,
touristy,
fun, different kind of food. But all in all, it was fun. And the transatlantic cruise was fun as well.
Do you think the food was better in Turin, or was the food better in Florence? I know what I think.
I think the food was better in Florence.
I do too. And so we even had Florentine steak 3 times while we were there. Okay. So we went to Mexico on our second adventure. And what did you think about Mexico?
Mexico was good. We had fun. We ate a lot of Mexican food. Met some good friends in Chillán, Mexico, which was a laid-back fishing village, not real touristy kind of a place. We spent a month there.
San Miguel?
San Miguel was hard to walk, but it was nice. I liked Chillán better, but I didn't think San Miguel was all that it's cracked up to be necessarily.
It was pretty.
But it was a beautiful place. And then we had fun there. And then we went to
Oaxaca.
And Oaxaca had really good food. They're known for their mole, and it was really good.
It was fun. It's like the town never stopped.
Yeah, and it was fun. They had a big square that had a lot of activities. during the day and night.
Yeah. So our plan was then to go on to Puebla, but with all that's been going on, we had to change our plans and come back home. But that was okay.
Yep.
Okay. So could you see yourself living in these places?
I could see myself living in Cheline maybe, but out of all the places we've traveled to, you asked me that on every one of them. I think Cheline was the first one I've said yeah to. So
I liked Italy, and I've always liked the culture in Italy, but it is a little bit more difficult there. And I have to say that Cheline is just laid back and easy, and we really did enjoy that.
right.
Okay? So was the traveling experience so far what you thought? Was it different from that? What was different?
It's kind of what I thought it was going to be. Travel days are kind of tough. Days you're there is fun, and enjoy the fun and get ready to travel to the next place.
So I think it took a lot of planning to get us to that point. Lots of planning. We started it about 2 years ago, getting plans ready, getting things ready for a journey. So we kind of knew a little bit about the places that we were going. Wasn't always exactly what I thought once we got there. You're right, travel's hard. Travel days are really hard, and we still go in with the philosophy of it's really nobody's fault. It just is what it is, and we'll make do.
Right. And we've had to make do a time or two.
Yeah, but that's been okay. So was it what I expected? I think being somewhere for a month I thought would be a little bit easier, but it seems like we at the end kind of ran out of things to do, or maybe got a little bit bored with the place. But partly I think it's because we tried to do so much once we got there because it was so new to us, and work it all in, and then in the end we had a little bit of time left over. So would I do that differently now? You like a little bit faster travel. I like a little bit slower travel, but we just haven't found that place to really do the slow travel. A month it seems to be long enough, and I would like to in the future find some place that we can stay a month or two. Okay, so we have a budget, and we haven't really shared what our budget is because we're still trying to figure it out. And we started with the goal of $3,500 a month, which we've done fairly well with, but we are still adjusting and figuring out what is actually a good budget for us, what is realistic, what is not realistic. Are we sticking to it?
I think it's pretty close to being correct.
So where do you think that we went over with the budget? That's hard.
No, I don't know.
I think in accommodations that maybe my standards were a little bit different. What I thought they would be. I have learned that authentic is not necessarily
Not always good.
It's not always good and the most comfortable, and it's not always the cheapest either. So we're looking for that mid-range, and we're still again trying to figure out what it is that we really like and what is it that we want. So I have some criteria for our Airbnbs. Needs a wash machine, not always, but it does need a wash machine if we can do that. It's a little bit harder in some places. A couch.
Most definitely.
A couch with arms is what we're trying
for. Or
for.
just a comfortable chair. I mean, I'm not hard to please, but we need something comfortable if we're going to be there for a month, and that's our nightly deal. And when you slow travel, that don't mean you're out doing something for 10 hours a day. So, you spend time in your Airbnb, and you need some comfort.
It needs to be walkable. Since we've been gone, we have not driven until we got back home. We have not taken buses. We've taken planes, trains, taxis, and Ubers, and everywhere else that we have walked to. So we definitely want to make sure it's in an area that's safe and walkable. We like a king-size bed. That's a little bit harder to find in some places. When we travel to Asia, I keep saying we better like each other when we go because we're going to be close to each other. So, what's the question again? Are we keeping up with the expenses? Again, accommodations are a little bit expensive. I think we've done pretty good on groceries and eating out. We seem to keep that under control. We don't eat out all the time either. We try to cook where we are. Some you can just get tired of eating out, and sometimes it's nice just to have a meal at home.
Yeah, we usually eat out one time a day anyway,
Yeah.
if not more, but probably at least once.
Okay. How do you divide the responsibilities?
You cook and I do dishes.
We do that at home too. So most of the finding the places to stay and the transportation to get there, how we're going to get around, is something that I usually do. We talk about the places that we want to go and kind of weigh the pros and cons, and sometimes we have to change our mind several times in the planning. So the planning and the getting there is usually my responsibility. Once we're there, it becomes Greg's responsibility to help us get around, because we all know that I am navigationally challenged.
We've been lost a time or two.
Yeah. And so many times I'll say it's this way, and he'll say no, it's this way, and he's usually right. So that's not going to happen often that I'm going to admit to that. And then some things we just work out on the fly as we go. Okay. So when we travel with a carry-on and a backpack. Okay. You think that's a reasonable thing?
Absolutely.
Probably more so for you.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't had any trouble with it.
So
you have to get on your suitcase every now and then, but
one thing that I did after the 2 trips that we've been on the last 6 months, one thing that I did find is that I get clothes bored. After a while, I want something different than just my black or gray. Sometimes you just want to dress a little bit differently, have some things. So we have started checking our luggage, at least one suitcase when we travel. Most of the time it's included in our flights, so it's really not much of an added expense or anything to do that. So the best part of checking luggage is I get to carry my hairspray with me.
yeah,
Because
that's very important.
Yeah, it is. What's the one thing that you miss the most that we either no longer have or you can't take with us?
I don't know. I never thought about it. I don't know that I miss anything. There's some foods I miss sometimes. But pretty much, we're living there for months, so we get most everything just like we do here. I miss fishing sometimes when it's pompano season.
I miss my kitchen, and I miss my KitchenAid mixer. I usually do cook a lot, but while we're on the road, you are limited in what you can cook, and because you don't want to buy a lot of items, and then when you get ready to leave, you got them left over, and you have to discard them or give them away. So I think I do miss that.
And we have had Airbnbs that didn't have an oven, so it's kind of hard for you to.
They've always had a cooktop, but never had not all have had an oven. So what do you miss about the area? You mentioned fishing.
Yeah, when it's pompano seasons, there's 2 seasons really. I miss fishing. I miss my friends. I miss my family. But I think we're having a real good time.
Okay. So I miss the laid back atmosphere of here to an extent. It is not tourist season as of right now, so things will change. And it's warm, but it's also not summer on the Gulf Coast.
And as you can see, it's beautiful.
I know, it is. Yeah. So those things, I'm happy when we get back home to have that, but also when we're on the road, I really don't think I miss it that much. Okay. So we have a YouTube channel, obviously. If you're seeing this and you're watching our YouTube channel, do you think it's been what you expected it to be?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's worked out pretty good thanks to your editing skills.
And I'm learning editing skills as we go along. I think that it is fun. I think it is what I expected it to be. although sometimes it can be a little hard to do, and I think the time that it's really hard is when there's no internet. That seems to be the hardest time, because it takes forever to upload a video, or to get things to work right. And we've had some really good internet. We've had some really bad internet.
Yeah.
But I think that's the hardest part. One question that I've been asked is, why do we share so many pictures and not so many videos? And that it tends to look like a scrapbook as opposed to videos and showing you where we've been and what we're doing. We chose to do that because we didn't want to be attached to a camera and a selfie stick everywhere we went, and we didn't want to feel like everywhere we went we had to film for the purpose of putting on YouTube. And so we took pictures, and we used a lot of stills in our videos, and we're working on changing that some, and making it a little bit more enjoyable. And we would love to have comments, so if you have any comments about things that we can do to make it better, things that you would like to see, then be sure and put that in the comments down below, and we'll be glad to look at that and see where we can make changes. What do we leave out intentionally in our video?
What?
So we talked about what we wanted our videos to be. What was the purpose of them? So I guess our first purpose is we wanted to document the places that we went, so that we could share those with our kids and our grandkids. The other thing is that we decided to intentionally leave out things about retirement, because I think we're still trying to figure it out. When's the proper time to retire? When's the proper time to start traveling? How much money do you need? We don't have the answers to those. We're still trying to figure it out ourselves. And slow traveling and retirement have really been an opportunity to.
And those
learn
things would be different for everybody that's watching this video. Mm-hmm. So what we do shouldn't really matter, because everybody has their own situation.
Mm-hmm. All right. And like I said, we're still trying to figure out budget, timing, how long do we want to stay gone, when do we want to come back, what things are important to us, and our grandkids, our kids, that's what we want to come home to. And so sometimes we're away for holidays, and I got a little used to that when I was in Alaska, because I wasn't here for all the holidays. But like coming up this year, Christmas and New Year's, we'll be overseas, and we've talked about, did we want to try to come back, or was it okay that we were gone? And I think the deciding factor was that people, our kids are grown, they have their own children, they have their own families, and places that they have to visit. So really, all in all, we only get to spend a few hours with them, because they're so busy going places, things that we did when our kids were small. So we decided that we were going to try to be away this year over Christmas and New Year's, and come back and have Christmas in January with our families. And I think that'll work pretty well.
But we are home for most of the summer, and hopefully the grandkids and kids will come see us in paradise here.
Yep. If not, we'll visit.
And if not, we'll go see them. But I think they'll probably want to come down here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do other people say about our videos? I've asked other people that have YouTube channels where they think that there can be improvement. And again, the thing comes about videos, show us more of your videos, and we want to show you the places that we go. We want to include videos. Again, we're not going to be attached to a selfie stick everywhere we go, but we do want to show you what we experience, because there's a whole big world out there that we can share with you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is on your agenda for the next 6 months? The next trips?
Well, we leave in a week.
Mm-hmm.
On another transatlantic cruise starting in Tampa, Florida. Mm-hmm. We're going to go down through the Caribbean on the way, though. We're going to take a right turn south, and we're going to go to Key West, St. Martin, St. Thomas,
and Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to take a hard left to Lisbon, Portugal. And then from there, Greece, Rhodes,
Athens and Rhodes,
Athens and Rhodes, and
Antalya, Turkey,
Antalya, Turkey,
Turkey,
and
in Istanbul.
Istanbul.
So we'll be gone about 3 months. We'll be back home in July, just barely in time to celebrate the 250th anniversary
Right.
in the U.S. Like you mentioned earlier, we'll be home for the summer for a couple months just to kind of recoup and to visit our families and enjoy the beach a little bit before we head west. And from here, we'll go to San Francisco. We'll get on a cruise ship, and we're going to do a Trans-Pacific cruise this time. So we'll go from San Francisco to Alaska.
Your favorite place?
I think it's my favorite place.
I know it is.
I know it is. But this will be a new part of Alaska that I haven't seen. I've seen way up northwest Alaska, but this will be in the south part of Alaska. So we'll go to Ketchikan, Icy Strait Point by Glacier, and then we travel across the international date line, which I've seen, to Japan. We have 5 stops in Japan, and we end in Tokyo. So spend a few nights in Tokyo. We'll fly over to Seoul, South Korea, and spend several nights there. And then we'll take the train to Busan, Korea, and spend a week there. Those are places we've never been before. Southeast Asia, we've never been before. So this will all be new to us, and we'll share that as we go along, so you can join us. We do go from Busan to Siem Reap, Cambodia, to see Angkor Wat, and we are hoping to have some friends join us there. And then we go to Chiang Mai, Thailand, and we just happen to be able to work it out where we will be in Chiang Mai for the Lantern Festival. And then we fly from Chiang Mai to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and we're going to be close to the Petronas Towers, so we'll have a view of them, and we will be there for Christmas and New Year's. After we leave Kuala Lumpur, we'll fly to Da Nang, Vietnam, which we'll be there for about 10 days before we fly back to the U.S. So
Sounds like a trip.
Yeah, so we've got some busy times ahead of us, and we can't wait to share those with you.
And y'all come along.
Okay, so the last question that we have is, do you see yourself continuing to travel? For how long? What's your plans? What would you like to do?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll continue traveling at a pretty good pace till we can't no more. And then we'll slow down and take fewer trips.
So some things that I would like to try, and we've talked about this, I would like to try to find places that we could stay for a month or 2 at a time, where we can unpack our suitcases and enjoy. And we really like maybe not doing all the touristy places, but just kind of living in a neighborhood. So I really like slow travel. And I know you've talked about traveling a little bit faster, see more places.
Well, I get bored easy.
So we'll have something to compare to. So we've had some slow travel in Italy and some slow travel in Mexico, and the next 2 trips over the next 6 months, we'll do things a little bit faster, and we'll see what works best for us.
Well, Southeast Asia is so far over there, we had to work in a shorter stays because we wanted to see as much as we could once we got over there.
Right. It's not somewhere we can just hop on a plane and go back and forth.
Right.
Okay. All right. So these are just some questions and things that we've been asked, and to tell you how our last 6 months have been. We would love to have questions and comments, so be sure and put them down in the comments below. If you have already subscribed, we thank you. And if you have not subscribed and this video is entertaining to you or important to you, please be sure to subscribe, like our channel. That really does help us and will help us reach our next goal. Okay? So until next time, bye.
Bye.